Have you ever wondered if that ordinary-looking coin in your pocket could be worth a fortune? Imagine this: you're digging through spare change and suddenly you spot something strange, something that could be worth more than a house, maybe even a mansion. Today we're talking about the legendary 1982 Jefferson nickel, but not just any nickel. This one has shocked collectors, baffled experts, and made headlines in the numismatic world because a rare version of this coin could be worth up to $1 million. Yes, you heard that right, $1 million for a 5-cent coin. But what makes it so special? Why is it so valuable? And how can you tell if you might be holding one? Stick with me, because by the end of this video you'll know everything you need to spot this coin, understand its history, and maybe, just maybe, find one yourself. Let's dive in. First, a bit of history. The Jefferson nickel was introduced in 1938. It replaced the Buffalo nickel and featured the third president of the United States, Thomas Jefferson, on the obverse, and his famous estate Monticello on the reverse. In 1982, something unusual happened. The U.S. Mint was changing the way it made coins. Copper prices were rising, and the Mint decided to shift the metal composition of certain coins. Pennies had already changed in 1982, but for nickels the composition stayed the same. What changed instead was how the coins were made and marked. That year there were several experimental runs. Some coins lost their mint marks, others were struck with dies that were worn or misaligned, and somewhere in the middle of all that, the 1982 Jefferson nickel came to life. Now here's where things get really interesting. Most 1982 Jefferson nickels are common. They were struck at the Denver Mint. You can tell by the small letter D near Monticello, and millions were produced, but a few, extremely few, have a shocking error. They were struck on the wrong planchet, or they were part of an experimental strike, or they came out of a special die that no one can fully explain. These coins can appear slightly off. Their details may be sharper or weaker, the mint mark may be missing or poorly struck, and in some cases the entire coin seems off-center or double-struck. One example with a perfectly centered design, full steps on Monticello and immaculate luster, sold for tens of thousands of dollars at auction. But the most legendary find, a 1982 Jefferson nickel with a flawless strike, full steps, and near-perfect preservation, was once estimated to be worth close to $1 million. So what should you look for? First, the condition of the coin. A high-grade coin, especially in mint state or proof-like condition, is far more valuable than one that's worn. Second, check the steps on Monticello. Collectors call them full steps. If all 5 or 6 steps are clearly visible and not worn, that's a huge bonus. It could be the difference between a $5 coin and a 5-figure treasure. Third, check for any errors. Is the mint mark missing? Is there doubling? Are there cracks, cuts, off-center strikes? These are rare on 1982 nickels, but when they do appear, collectors go wild. And lastly, have it graded. If you think you have something special, send it to a professional coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. They can confirm its authenticity, grade it, and give it that seal of approval collectors trust. Now here's the kicker: even today, more of these rare nickels may be sitting out there undiscovered in old jars and rolls from the bank, in your change from the grocery store. So if you're watching this, it's not just for entertainment, it's a treasure hunt. Check those nickels. Look for that 1982 especially one in top condition with sharp steps and possible errors. You never know, you might be the next person to pull $1 million nickel out of your pocket. So the next time you hear a coin clink, pay attention, because sometimes the most valuable things are hiding in plain sight. If you found this video helpful, smash that like button, subscribe for more coin stories and rare finds, and drop a comment if you've ever come across a 1982 Jefferson nickel. Who knows, you might be holding history in your hand. We are diving deep into one of the most surprising coins in American history. It's a coin that millions of people have probably spent without a second thought. It's the 1974 Jefferson nickel with no mint mark. At first glance, it seems like any other ordinary 5-cent piece. But what if I told you that this coin could actually be worth thousands, or even millions of dollars today? That's right. This seemingly average coin might just be hiding in your change jar or tucked away in an old drawer. And if it is the right one, it could change your life. Let's start with the basics. The Jefferson nickel has been around since 1938. It features the portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the front and his home Monticello on the back. In 1974, millions of these coins were struck. But here's where it gets interesting. Most nickels were made at either the Philadelphia or Denver Mint. The ones made in Denver have a small D mint mark. Those made in San Francisco have an S mint mark. But the ones from Philadelphia? Most of them had no mint mark at all. Now, usually a missing mint mark from the Philadelphia Mint is not a big deal. It was standard back then. But what makes the 1974 Jefferson nickel different is that some of them are extremely rare due to errors or unique variations during production. Some of the rarest 1974 Jefferson nickels have incredibly sharp strikes, full steps on Monticello, and flawless surfaces. These rare traits combined with the absence of a mint mark can send the coin's value soaring. And when collectors find one in near perfect condition, with no signs of wear, that's when the bidding wars begin. Let's talk numbers. A regular 1974 Jefferson nickel in worn condition is worth face value just 5 cents. But if you have a pristine example, with full steps and no mint mark, collectors might be willing to pay hundreds. And if the coin has no mint mark, is in uncirculated condition, and has been graded MS67 or higher by a trusted grading company like PCGS or NGC, you could be looking at a coin worth thousands. Now here's where it gets really exciting. In extremely rare cases, some versions of the 1974 no mint mark Jefferson nickel have sold for eye-watering prices at auction. One example reportedly sold for over $1 million. Yes, you heard that right. $1 million for a nickel. So what makes these specific coins so valuable? It comes down to rarity, condition, and demand. The coin must be in absolutely stunning shape. That means no scratches, no dings, and a mirror-like shine. Add to that the full steps on Monticello, and a missing mint mark, and you've got yourself a jackpot. But here's the catch. These $1 million coins are incredibly rare. You won't find them in just any pocket. They've usually been hidden away for decades, untouched and perfectly preserved. Still, the possibility of finding one in your possession is what makes this hobby so thrilling. If you're wondering how to check your coins, it's easy. Grab a magnifying glass and look closely at the steps on the Monticello building. If you can see 5 or 6 clear, uninterrupted steps, you might have something special. Then look at the condition of the coin. If it looks like it just came from the mint, you're on the right track. And finally, check for the mint mark. If there's no D and no S under the date, it may be from Philadelphia. If all these features line up, it's time to get that coin graded. So what should you do if you think you have a valuable 1974 Jefferson nickel? First, don't clean it. Cleaning a coin can destroy its value. Instead, keep it safe in a coin holder or plastic flip. Then contact a professional coin grading service. They can tell you exactly what it's worth and help you get it sold if it turns out to be a treasure. There's something magical about knowing that an everyday object like a nickel could be worth so much money. It makes you want to check every coin that passes through your hands. Who knows? Maybe the next time you get change from a vending machine, you'll be holding a $1 million coin. 1978 D mint mark Jefferson nickel. Now before you toss that nickel into a vending machine, listen up, because this ordinary looking coin has been known to sell for thousands of dollars, and in extremely rare cases it could even approach the $1 million mark in value under the right circumstances. So let's break it down. First things first, what exactly is the 1978 D Jefferson nickel? This coin was minted at the Denver Mint in the year 1978, and it features Thomas Jefferson on the obverse with his Monticello home on the reverse. The D mint mark is located on the right side of the coin just beside the portrait of Jefferson, and it signifies that the coin came from Denver. Now here's where it gets interesting. Over 300 million of these nickels were minted, which might make you think there's nothing special about them, but here's the truth. Hidden among those hundreds of millions are rare varieties and high-grade examples that collectors are willing to pay big money for. Let's start with condition. Most 1978 D nickels are found in circulated condition, which means they've been used for everyday transactions and have visible wear. These are usually worth face value, but if you happen to come across one in pristine condition with no signs of wear and a sharp clean strike, then you might be holding a valuable coin. Coins that are graded by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC and receive a high mint state grade like MS65 or higher can be worth significantly more. In fact, an MS67 example of a 1978 D Jefferson nickel has sold for over $2,000 at auction because it's so rare to find one that perfect after all these years. But wait, it gets better. There are also rare errors that make these coins worth even more. Let's talk about a few of the most valuable errors you should watch for. One of the most sought after is the off-center strike error, where the design of the coin is struck off balance if enough of the design is visible. This kind of error can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on the severity and condition. Another valuable error is the double die error. This is when parts of the coin appear to have been struck twice and show doubling, especially in the lettering or date, although it's not commonly reported on the 1978 D nickel. If one were to be discovered in a high grade, it could break records due to its rarity. Then we have the full steps variety. This refers to the steps on the Monticello building on the reverse side of the coin. If all 5 or 6 steps are clearly visible and separated, this indicates a strong strike, which is incredibly rare for this year, and mint mark coins with full steps in high grades can sell for several $1,000s because collectors know how hard it is to find one like that. Now you might be wondering about that $1 million figure. Here's where the dream scenario comes in. Let's say a brand new, never before seen mint error surfaces, something so dramatic and unique that it captures the attention of the numismatic community worldwide. Maybe a double-struck coin in pristine condition with full steps and an off-center strike all combined. That's the kind of 1 in a billion coin that could fetch insane money at a high-profile auction, especially if it's the only known example. And don't forget, provenance matters too. If the coin has a story, if it's been in a famous collection, or has historical significance, that adds to the value. The right buyer, with the right interest and the right bidding war, can push the value into 6 or even 7 figures. So how do you know if you have a valuable one? Start by checking the date and mint mark. Look for the D beside Jefferson's portrait, then examine the condition. Is it heavily worn or does it look sharp and clean? Use a magnifying glass to check the Monticello steps. Are they full and clear? Look for any oddities like doubling, strange letters, off-center designs, or unusual weight. If you think you've got something special, send it to a professional grading service. It's the best way to authenticate and preserve the value of your coin. And even if your 1978 D Jefferson nickel isn't worth thousands, it's still a piece of American history and a fun way to get into the world of coin collecting. So there you have it. The 1978 D Jefferson nickel might just be more than spare change. It could be a rare gem worth a fortune hiding in plain sight. 1987 D Jefferson nickel, minted in Denver. At first glance, it looks just like any other 5-cent piece. But what lies beneath the surface has collectors going wild and some people cashing in big time. The Jefferson nickel has been a staple in American currency since 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel. Designed by Felix Schlag, the obverse features a portrait of Thomas Jefferson, while the reverse showcases his famous estate, Monticello. But in the world of numismatics, it's not just about the design. It's about the details. It's the errors, the die variations, the mintage quirks, and the conditions that send coin values through the roof. Let's zero in on the 1987 D Jefferson nickel. Most of these coins are worth face value. But there are rare exceptions. And these exceptions can mean the difference between 5 cents and $50,000. Or even $1 million. So what makes some 1987 D nickels so valuable? First, let's talk about mint marks. The D you see on the coin stands for the Denver Mint, one of the 3 main facilities producing U.S. coins. Now, the 1987 D Jefferson nickel had a total mintage of over 450 million coins. That's right, over 450 million. So you're probably thinking, how can any of them be rare? The answer lies in error coins and high-grade conditions. A coin's grade is one of the biggest factors in determining its value. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70 by professional services like PCGS and NGC. A 1987 D nickel that's in mint state 65 or above, with flawless luster and no contact marks, could be worth several $100s. But that's just the beginning. Some 1987 D nickels have been discovered with dramatic mint errors. These include off-center strikes, double dies, wrong planchets, and more. For example, a nickel struck on a penny planchet or with an improperly aligned die can be a jackpot. These coins are so rare that collectors will pay thousands to own them. In recent years, some error nickels from the 1980s have sold for shocking amounts. One coin, not too different from the 1987 D Jefferson nickel, fetched over $20,000 at auction due to a spectacular double die and near-perfect condition. Some rumors and unconfirmed reports even suggest that private collectors have paid 6-figure sums for extremely rare variants. But that's not all. There is speculation in the numismatic community about an ultra-rare version of the 1987 D nickel with a unique reverse design and unexplained die clash marks. These coins are believed to have been minted accidentally during a transitional phase. If one of these turns up in pristine condition, it could easily break auction records and reach $1 million valuation. The key is finding one and having it authenticated. So how do you know if your 1987 D nickel is worth more than 5 cents? Start by looking at the coin closely. Is the strike off center? Are there any doubling effects on the letters or the building? Does it appear thinner, thicker, or copper-colored on the edge? All these could be signs that you're holding something special. Next, check the condition. Is the coin shiny with no scratches, dings, or wear? If yes, it may be time to have it professionally graded. Grading might cost a bit, but if your coin turns out to be rare, that investment could bring in a serious payday. Coin collecting isn't just a hobby. It's a potential gold mine. Coins like the 1987 D Jefferson nickel show us that even the most common objects can hide secrets. You just need to know where to look and what to look for. So before you spend that nickel, take a closer look. Check your piggy bank, your couch cushions, your old change jar. Because who knows? That little coin could change your life. 1988 D Mint marked Jefferson nickel featuring Monticello on the reverse. Now you might be thinking, how could a nickel from 1988 be worth thousands, or even $1 million? Let's get into it. At first glance, the 1988 D nickel looks like just another modern coin. It's got Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, the Monticello building on the back, and a simple D Mint mark indicating it was struck at the Denver Mint. Over 662 million of these coins were produced. So what makes this one so special? Why are collectors scrambling to get their hands on it? The truth is, not every 1988 D nickel is valuable. But under the right conditions, with rare errors or incredibly high-quality preservation, some of these coins have reached eye-popping prices. So let's break this down. First up is condition. Coins are graded on a 70-point scale, and any Jefferson nickel that reaches MS 68 or higher, that's mint state 68, is incredibly rare. Most 1988 D nickels come out of circulation with scratches, dings, and signs of heavy use. But if you find one in pristine condition with sharp details and full steps on the Monticello building, meaning all the steps are clearly visible, then you've got something special. Full steps is a grading term that can mean the difference between a $2 coin and a $20,000 coin. On the reverse side, the Monticello has 6 steps. If your coin has 5 or 6 steps fully struck without any interruptions, that's what collectors want. That's what gets the high grades from professional grading services like PCGS or NGC. Now let's talk about the $1 million rumor. There have been stories floating around the internet, and even in coin forums, about a supposed 1988 D nickel that sold for a massive amount due to a double die error, full steps, and an ultra-high grade. While number 1988 D nickel has publicly crossed the $1 million mark at a verified auction, there have been sales in the high thousands. One sold for over $6,000 at a Heritage Auctions event due to its sharp details, full steps, and MS 68 grade. Error coins are another reason why some of these nickels are incredibly valuable. Off-center strikes, double die errors, wrong planchet errors, these are all highly collectible. Imagine finding a 1988 D nickel with Jefferson's face doubled or a Monticello that's off-center. These are rare, and when they show up, collectors are willing to pay big money to own them. Let me give you an example. A 1988 D Jefferson nickel with full steps, graded by PCGS at MS 67, recently sold for over $1,000. And that's just a standard version with no error. So imagine finding a coin with both full steps and a dramatic error. That's when we start getting into 4- and 5-figure territory. So here's what you should do. Go through your change jars. Look at your coin collections. Focus on the 1988 D nickels and examine them closely. Use a magnifying glass or coin loupe. Look for full steps. Look for anything unusual, doubling, misalignments, off-center strikes. Then, consider sending your coin to a professional grading service. Now here's where things get interesting. The value of these coins continues to rise, especially as more people get into coin collecting. With inflation and the rise of online marketplaces, rare coins have become a form of alternative investment. The demand is high, the supply of high-grade examples is low, and prices are going up. Don't underestimate the power of the story either. A seemingly ordinary nickel that turns out to be a valuable rarity is a collector's dream. And even if your coin isn't worth $1 million today, who's to say what it could be worth in 5 or 10 years? To wrap this up, yes, the 1988 D Monticello Jefferson nickel can be worth a lot, under the right circumstances. We're talking top condition, certified grading, full steps, and rare errors. Keep your eyes open, because the next coin you find might just be a treasure hiding in plain sight. 1990p mint mark Jefferson nickel. A coin that millions of people might have touched. But only a few know the secret behind its incredible value. Stay with me as we uncover the hidden world of rare minting errors, collector demand, and the fascinating truth about how one tiny coin with a face value of just 5 cents could be worth a fortune. Some have even said it's worth millions. And today, we are going to explore why. The Jefferson nickel has been a staple of American pocket change since 1938. With Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his historic Monticello home on the reverse, it is one of the most recognized coins in American history. In the year 1990, the United States Mint in Philadelphia struck millions of these coins. These can be identified by the letter P just to the right of Jefferson's bust. To most people, a 1990p Jefferson nickel is just another coin. But to seasoned collectors, certain versions of this coin hold much more than their face value. So what makes this ordinary-looking coin potentially worth millions? Chapter 2, The $1 Million Mystery. First, let's clear something up. Not every 1990p Jefferson nickel is worth $1 million. In fact, most of them are worth exactly 5 cents. But as with many rare coins, the value skyrockets when a special condition, a unique flaw, or an extremely rare mint error is discovered. Some 1990p nickels have shown extraordinary characteristics. Coins that were mistakenly struck on the wrong planchet. Coins that display doubling on key features. Coins that are in such pristine uncirculated condition that professional grading services have awarded them a perfect score. Now imagine this. A coin struck in 1990, with an unexpected error, preserved perfectly for decades, and now sitting inside a sealed, graded case. That is the kind of coin collectors are fighting over. That is the kind of coin that can go for tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands at auction. And in very rare circumstances, a coin tied to a significant historical error or a perfect uncirculated example could fetch close to $1 million. Yes, you heard that right. Let's talk about how to know if your 1990p Jefferson nickel is special. Start by examining the coin's surface. Is it uncirculated? That means no signs of wear, strong details, and a shiny finish. These are graded by services like PCGS or NGC and labeled with a mint state number. The closer to 70, the better. A mint state 69 or 70 is extremely rare and commands top dollar. Next, check for errors. Look closely at the P mint mark, the steps on Monticello, and Jefferson's eye. Is there doubling? Are there die cracks, off-center strikes, or signs that it was struck on the wrong metal? These can all increase the coin's value dramatically. The most valuable 1990p Jefferson nickels ever sold were those that combined pristine condition with rare minting errors. One such coin, graded MS-67 full steps, sold for over $10,000. But experts speculate that if an MS-70 version with full steps and a major error ever surfaced, it could easily break into 6 or even 7 figures. Chapter 4, Market Demand and the Role of Collectors. Now, let's talk about the role of the market. Rare coins are a booming segment of the collectibles world. Investors and collectors alike are pouring money into rare coins as a way to diversify their portfolios and own a piece of history. Demand drives up value, and when a coin is both rare and in demand, prices can explode. In recent years, interest in Jefferson nickels has surged. This includes not just older nickels from the 40s and 50s, but also more recent examples with unique qualities. That includes the 1990p. Dealers and collectors are on the lookout for top-graded examples and one-of-a-kind errors. This is where things get exciting. When a rare example hits the auction block, the final price is often a bidding war. Collectors who want to complete a full registry set or secure a top-rated specimen are willing to pay astronomical sums. And that is how a 5-cent piece can turn into a $1,000,000 treasure. Chapter 5. Could you be holding one? So now the question becomes, do you have a 1990p Jefferson nickel sitting in a jar, a drawer, or a coin collection somewhere? Maybe it has never been closely examined. Maybe it's been waiting all these years for the right eyes to see its hidden value. Pull it out. Look closely. If it appears flawless or has a noticeable error, consider getting it graded. You could be holding one of the rarest and most valuable modern coins in existence. Final thoughts in the world of coin collecting: knowledge is everything. Most people walk past hidden treasures every day without knowing. But now you know what to look for. The 1990p Jefferson nickel may seem ordinary, but under the right circumstances, it could be worth thousands, hundreds of thousands, or even millions, and that is the beauty of numismatics. The thrill of the hunt. The stories behind the metal. The history in your hands. So next time you get change at a store, take a moment and check your nickels. Because who knows? You might just discover a small piece of change that could change your life. 1996p Jefferson nickel. Yes, that everyday 5-cent coin you might find in your change jar or lying at the bottom of your old wallet. But what if I told you that some of these nickels have sold for thousands and, in some rare cases, have been valued near or even over $1,000,000 under the right conditions? Let's find out why. First, a little background. The Jefferson nickel has been in circulation since 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel. Designed by Felix Schlag, the obverse features a portrait of Thomas Jefferson, and the reverse shows his famous Monticello estate. The design has seen a few changes over the decades, but in 1996, the classic design was still in place. Now, let's talk about the mint mark. The 1996p Jefferson nickel was minted in Philadelphia, as indicated by the small letter P on the obverse side of the coin. That year, the Philadelphia Mint struck over 825 million of these nickels. So how can something so common be so valuable? Well, here's where things get interesting. Not all coins are created equal. While the majority of these nickels are worth only face value, some exceptional examples can be worth much more. We're talking hundreds, thousands, and in some cases 6 figures or more. The key is in the condition, the strike, and rare minting errors. Let's start with condition. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70 using the Sheldon scale. A coin graded MS 67 or higher, that's mint state 67 or above, is extremely rare, especially for a coin that was mass-produced for circulation. In fact, a 1996p Jefferson nickel graded MS 68 by PCGS or NGC can be worth several $1,000s, simply because of how pristine it is. These high grades are not easy to find and are often hoarded by serious collectors or investors. But let's go even further. What really makes the value skyrocket are rare errors and varieties. And yes, the 1996p has its fair share of them. Some of the most sought after include off-center strikes, double die obverse, full steps varieties, and planchet errors. If you happen to find a 1996p nickel with a strong double die, or one that shows full steps at the base of Monticello, meaning all the steps are clearly visible without any wear, you could be looking at a coin that's worth a small fortune. The full steps variety is especially important. A full steps designation means the coin was struck with extraordinary detail and precision, and only a tiny percentage of coins meet this standard. Collectors pay a huge premium for these, and they often end up in high-end auctions. Now you might be wondering, has any 1996p Jefferson nickel ever sold for $1 million? The truth is, while none have officially broken the $1 million mark at public auction as of now, certain rare specimens, especially those with unique errors or in unbelievable condition, have been valued extremely high by collectors and appraisers. And let's be real, in the world of numismatics, it's not unusual for coins that were once worth pennies to be worth millions years later. It just takes the right coin, the right buyer, and the right time. So how do you know if you have a valuable one? Start by pulling out any 1996p nickels you may have. Look at the overall condition, Is it shiny, uncirculated, and free from nicks or scratches? Check the reverse side under a magnifying glass for those famous full steps. Also, look for any doubling, off-center designs, or unusual features that don't seem quite right. If you find something suspicious or promising, don't clean it. Take it straight to a professional coin grading service or a local coin shop for an expert opinion. You can also compare yours to verified sales. Some 1996p nickels in top condition have sold for over $5,000. Others with full steps have topped $10,000. And if yours happens to combine high grade, a full steps reverse, and a unique error? That's the kind of coin that could make headlines in the numismatic world. Even if you don't strike it rich, collecting Jefferson nickels is a great way to get into coin collecting. They're easy to find, inexpensive to start with, and who knows, you might just discover that $1 million nickel hiding in plain sight. So there you have it, the story of the 1996p Jefferson nickel. A coin that might look ordinary at first glance, but could be hiding extraordinary value. Be sure to check your change, take a closer look at your coin jars, and maybe even visit your local bank and ask for rolls of nickels to hunt through. You never know what treasure might be waiting. If you found this video helpful or interesting, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe for more rare coin breakdowns, and drop a comment if you've ever found a valuable coin or if you want me to cover another year or denomination next. 1998 D Mint Mark Jefferson nickel featuring the iconic Monticello building on the reverse. At first glance it might look like any other nickel, but under the right conditions this coin could be worth hundreds, thousands, or even millions of dollars. So stay tuned because we're going to cover everything you need to know from the coin's design to its mint history, key errors, rare varieties, and of course the current market value. Let's begin with a quick overview of the coin itself. The Jefferson nickel has been in circulation since 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel. On the obverse or front side we have a portrait of Thomas Jefferson. The reverse side shows his famous Virginia home Monticello. The 1998 D Mint mark means it was produced at the Denver Mint that year. Millions of nickels were struck, so you might think it's common and low value, but here's where things get interesting. In the world of coin collecting, it's not just about the date or the mint mark condition. Rarity and die varieties can change everything, and that's exactly what makes some 1998 D Jefferson nickels so incredibly valuable. Let's talk condition first. Most nickels from circulation are worn and only worth face value, but coins that have been preserved in perfect or near perfect condition, known as mint state or MS, can sell for much more. According to top coin grading companies like PCGS and NGC, high-grade examples of the 1998 D Jefferson nickel in MS67 or better can sell for hundreds of dollars, and that's just the start. Now let's move to the real game changer. Errors and varieties. Certain 1998 D nickels were struck with major minting errors that make them extremely rare and desirable. Some examples include off-center strikes, double die, obverse or reverse, and full steps designation. Let me explain full steps. When you look at the Monticello on the reverse, the steps at the base are a key detail. If all 5 or 6 steps are clearly visible and unbroken under magnification, that coin is said to have full steps. Collectors pay a huge premium for full steps nickels because they indicate a very sharp strike. In fact, a 1998 D Jefferson nickel graded MS67 with full steps has sold for over $1,500 at auction. But even that isn't where the big money ends. There are ultra rare errors and unique varieties that have shown up in the 1998 D Jefferson nickel series. Some are struck on the wrong planchet, for example being struck on a dime blank or a foreign coin blank. Others have major die cracks, cuds, or even multiple striking errors. If you come across one of these rarities and it's verified and graded by a trusted service, your coin could be worth tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars. In extremely rare cases, a previously unknown variety or one-of-a-kind mint error has reached sales of over $1 million. Yes, you heard that right. While it's rare, coins like that are out there, and they often come from ordinary collections or loose change, which is why collectors and treasure hunters are always on the lookout. So how do you know if your 1998 D Jefferson nickel is valuable? Here's a quick checklist. First, examine the condition. Does it look nearly flawless? Next, check for full steps on the reverse under a magnifying glass, then look for any unusual features like doubling off-center images, strange metal tones, or planchet issues. If you think you've found something special, send it to a professional grading company for authentication, and encapsulation companies like PCGS, NGC, and NX can verify your coin and give it an official grade, which is essential for high-value sales. And here's a tip. Even if your 1998 D Jefferson nickel isn't rare, it's still worth hanging on to if it's in great shape. Prices have been going up for full-step nickels across many years, and collectors are always looking to complete their sets. In conclusion, the 1998 D Jefferson nickel may not look extraordinary at first glance, but under the right circumstances it can be worth a small fortune, from high mint state grades to rare, full-steps errors and exotic planchets. This simple 5-cent coin has more potential than most people realize, so check your change, check your coin jars, and check your old coin albums. You never know. That one nickel could be your ticket to an incredible discovery. 2014 with a Denver Mint mark could potentially be worth hundreds of thousands, or even up to $1 million in rare cases. That's right. This is not clickbait. This is a deep dive into the world of a coin that most people would overlook. The 2014 D Jefferson nickel featuring Monticello on the reverse. On the surface, it's an ordinary 5-cent coin. But for collectors and numismatic enthusiasts, this coin is full of mystery, rarity, and potential fortune. Now let's break it down. The 2014 Jefferson nickel was minted in 2 locations, the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint. The one we're focusing on is from Denver, indicated by the small D mint mark on the obverse side of the coin, just to the right of Thomas Jefferson's portrait. In terms of raw mintage numbers, the Denver Mint struck over 460 million of these nickels. That sounds like a lot, right? It is. But here's where things get interesting. Not every 2014 D nickel is created equal. Within this massive run of coins, a tiny handful have been discovered with incredibly rare mint errors or unique die varieties that send their value skyrocketing. These are not your average nickels. These are coins that have turned heads at major auctions and among private collectors. Some of the most sought-after 2014 D Jefferson nickels include those with double dies, off-center strikes, and full steps on Monticello. Full steps refer to the crisp, complete details on the steps of Jefferson's Monticello home on the reverse of the coin. The more complete and defined those steps are, the more desirable the coin becomes, especially when coupled with pristine mint condition. Coins with full steps, known as FS nickels, in MS 67 or higher condition have fetched thousands of dollars at auctions. Combine that level of condition with a dramatic mint error like a broad strike, clipped planchet, or an off-metal strike, and now you're in truly rare territory. There have been reports of rare 2014 D nickels selling for jaw-dropping amounts. Some exceptional examples with multiple rarity factors, full steps, high mint state grading, and serious errors, have been listed or appraised in the 6-figure range. And there's speculation in the numismatic community that a top-tier example could push toward the $1 million mark, especially if found in uncirculated condition with multiple error layers. Now you might be thinking, how do I know if I have one of these rare 2014 D nickels in my pocket change? Here's what you need to look for. First, check for the D mint mark to confirm it was struck in Denver. Next, examine the reverse side of the coin. Look closely at the steps on Monticello. If the steps are sharp and unbroken from top to bottom, you might have a full steps nickel. Use a magnifier to inspect it under good light. Next, look for any irregularities. Is the design off-center? Are there doubling effects in the lettering or portrait? Does the edge of the coin look clipped or unusual? These small details can make a big difference in value. Condition is everything. A circulated nickel with minor wear won't reach those high values. But a coin in mint state condition, graded by a reputable service like PCGS or NGC, could be worth serious money. If you think you have a valuable one, get it professionally appraised or submitted for grading. Keep in mind, collectors are always on the lookout for these rare coins. The right combination of mint error, condition, and rarity can make a humble 5-cent piece into a highly coveted item. It's easy to dismiss modern coins as being too common to hold value. But history has shown us time and again that hidden gems exist. Some of the most valuable coins ever found were pulled from pocket change, flea markets, and old coin jars sitting in garages. So what's the takeaway? Check your change. Examine your coin jars. Look through that forgotten pile of nickels in your drawer. That 2014 Jefferson nickel you barely glanced at could be hiding an error so rare, it could change your financial life. Collectors pay top dollar for the right coin. With increased attention in the numismatic world on modern rarities, this coin is getting more eyes than ever. And the next $1 million nickel? It could be in your hands right now. 2022 P Mint Mark Monticello Jefferson nickel. And believe it or not, some of these coins are not just worth a few cents. Some rare varieties and error coins are being valued at thousands and yes, even $1 million in the collector's market. You don't want to miss this. Let's jump right into it. Cut to close-up of the 2022 P Jefferson nickel. So what is the 2022 P Jefferson nickel? Well, it's the standard 5-cent coin minted in Philadelphia in the year 2022. The obverse of the coin features a left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson designed by Jamie Franke. It was first introduced in 2006 and has become the standard Jefferson image on modern nickels. The reverse of the coin shows Monticello, Jefferson's famous Virginia estate, with the word Monticello prominently at the bottom. This design was originally created by Felix Schlag and has been featured on the nickel since 1938. Now you might be thinking, so what? I see these all the time. What makes the 2022 P version so special? On average, a regular circulated 2022 P Jefferson nickel is worth its face value, 5 cents. Even in uncirculated condition, most are only worth about 10 to 25 cents. But collectors know that it's not about the average coin. It's about the rare ones. The ones with high grades or bizarre errors. And those are the coins turning heads and commanding serious money. Section title appears: High-grade coins. The first type of valuable 2022 P nickel is the high-grade coin. These are coins that have never been circulated. They are sharp, clean, and show every tiny detail from the minting process. These coins are sent to grading services like PCGS or NGC, where they are professionally evaluated. A perfect MS-70 coin is virtually flawless under magnification and extremely rare. According to current auction records and price guides, a 2022 P Jefferson nickel graded MS-68 or above can sell for anywhere from $100 to over $1,000 depending on the buyer and the market conditions. But that's just the beginning. Section title appears: Rare errors. Now here's where we get into the juicy stuff. Error coins. Minting errors are mistakes that happen during the coin production process. And some of these mistakes can make a coin incredibly rare and valuable. There are several types of errors known to exist on 2022 P nickels. Let's go through a few. This is when the die strikes the coin twice, causing a doubling effect on the date, lettering, or Jefferson's profile. If you see Jefferson's eye or the word Liberty slightly doubled, don't spend that coin. That could be worth hundreds, even thousands. If the coin design is not properly aligned and looks partially cut off, that's a major error. The more off-center it is, the more valuable it becomes, especially if the date is still visible. These look like raised lines or bumps on the coin caused by breaks in the die. Some collectors love these imperfections and pay big money for dramatic examples. These can also cause a huge price spike, and then we have the holy grail of modern error coins, the mule error. This happens when two mismatched dies are used to strike a coin. While none have been confirmed for the 2022 P nickel yet, the discovery of even one would instantly skyrocket its value into the tens or hundreds of thousands, maybe even $1 million if auctioned. So how can a coin like the 2022 P Jefferson nickel be worth $1 million? It all comes down to rarity and demand. If a coin is the only known example of a major error or is a one-of-a-kind flawless high-grade specimen, collectors will pay enormous premiums. The coin market is driven by rarity, condition, and the story behind the coin. Imagine a 2022 P nickel discovered with an unknown mule error, or a perfectly preserved MS-70 example with a never-before-seen die variety. If it's the only one like it, auction houses would fight for it. Collectors with deep pockets want to own the impossible. That's how $1 million coins are made. And yes, it has happened before. Not with nickels, but with other modern coins like the 2000 Sacagawea dollar mule era, which sold for over $1.5 million. So the potential is very real. Now, if you're wondering what you should look for in your own change, here's a quick checklist. Check the date. It must say 2022 with AP mint mark. Inspect it under good light or a magnifier. Look closely at the words Liberty and In God We Trust. Any doubling could indicate a double die. Check for off-center designs, odd textures, raised bumps, or cracks. If the coin looks brand new, it might be uncirculated. Handle it carefully by the edges and store it in a coin flip. And if you think you have something rare, don't clean it. That can ruin its value. Take it to a reputable coin dealer or submit it to a professional grading service. Closing shot fades in, so there you have it. That little 2022 P. Jefferson nickel in your pocket might just be worth a fortune. It all comes down to keeping your eyes open, doing your research, and knowing what to look for. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button, subscribe for more coin and currency tips, and let us know in the comments if you've found any interesting coins in your own change.